Yeah, g'day YouTubers. Tinker O'Toole again here with another video. Somebody was asking me could I talk about the USG angles, cutting angles, and explain those on RS chain and RM chain. So RS chain is your full chisel and RM is your semi chisel. And I'll just put this up on screen now. This is an old box that you're watching at the moment. It's about 12 years old. And I'll leave it on screen and you can do a screenshot or just have a look at the different type of chains there. So that was about 12 years ago. So there's still all alphabet letters. There's also PMX, which is ripping chain. RSK, which is Rapid Super Classic, spelt with a K, not a C. PMN, Pico Mini. There's also PMN, Pico Mini Micro. I think it's Pico Micro Mini. Yeah, I think whichever way it is, that's what it is anyway. RMX, which is ripping chain. RCX is a different type of ripping chain. Maybe the difference between one could be full skip or semi-skip. You've got RMH, Rapid Micro Harvester. So that's used for harvester. You've got Rapid Micro Harvester Special. So whatever that one is, that's something different. PD and PD3, that stands for Pico Duro Tungsten Carbide, so there's a difference between PD and PD3, not too sure on that. RH is for Rapid Hexa. RS, Rapid Super Full Chisel. RM, Rapid Micro Semi Chisel. There's also an RSC for Comfort. So, and yeah, so there's actually quite a few. Okay, so with that list there, then you've got this USG listing here. And this lists all the chains. I don't know if it lists every single one, but be pretty close. And right down the bottom, there's the update for the Rapid Hexa. And in the A column, so before I talk about A, B, and C, how about I explain what A, B, and C is on a Stihl USG grinder. So A refers to this back plate. So this tilts the head. So this is all your degrees from 15 degrees right all the way up to 50. So yeah, 15 to 50, and just a matter of moving this lever and you can rotate like that and you can see the degrees. If we zoom in, you should be able to see them all there. So there's your 50 degrees there. And right down the bottom is your 15 degrees. So you've got a fairly large scale there. The next is the movable vise. So the vise slides backwards and forwards, also used to centralize the wheel, also used for the other attachments for the hedge trimmers, and also used for the circular saw blades that they can be sharpened on here as well. The next is your C scale. This is your top plate angle, the top of the tooth. And it goes up to left, it goes up to 60 degrees, and right, it goes up to 60 degrees. But on a chainsaw, we only ever use 35 degrees left and 35 degrees right. So it's got that functionality, a large range of functionality on it. So Stihl have a more aggressive top plate cutting angle. Now, for those that are not too familiar with top plate cutting angle, if that's a tooth, that's the top plate. When you look down, that's the top plate. But there's another beveled edge on there. That beveled edge is on an angle. That angle on an Oregon is 60 degrees generally, and that translates to 30 degrees on a Stihl grinder. So Stihl like to keep 40 degrees on their semi-chisel and their full chisel. Now, if you've got an Oregon grinder, 40 degrees translates to 50 degrees on an Oregon grinder. And 30 degrees on a Stihl translates to 60 degrees. And 25 degrees translates to 65 degrees. So it's pretty easy to work out, because on a Stihl, when the grinder is sitting up vertical, it's on 0 degrees at the top and it tilts down that way, and at that position is 90 degrees. On an Oregon grinder, it's totally different. It starts at 90 degrees vertical and tilts the opposite way and goes to 0 on this side. So it's different. Exactly the same angle, except a different reference point. And that's all you have to understand. You've got a different reference point and you can work it out. The C scale, which is this one here, is the same as the Oregon. No difference. So your semi-chisel and your full chisel, use 40 degrees on there. 40 degrees would be, we'll just tilt it to the 40 degree position. That'd be 40 degrees there. So that's 40 degrees on a Stihl USG grinder. That's what 40 degrees looks like. 50 degrees on an Oregon. Most of the time you'll read about chains being anywhere between 50 degrees and 60 degrees top plate angle. Top plate cutting angle, I should say. Don't get it confused with the top plate angle. This angle here on full chisel is normally 25 degrees, and on semi-chisel it's 30 degrees. Now, the difference between the full chisel is it's much more pointy and has a square shoulder on it, and this edge here is more prone to getting blunt much quicker. So that's the square shoulder, and you can see that. On the semi-chisel has that rounded corner. You can see that. So this edge here has got a lot more space on it, or more room on it, so it takes a lot longer to become blunt. So that's the difference. Now, when you do look at all the angles that are on here, you'll find out that the A column will give you the angle of the head. All the chains, except for the milling chains and rapid hexa and tungsten carbide, forget those for the moment. The semi-chisel and the full chisel are all 40 degrees. Your rapid hexa runs 25 degrees. Your rapid duro on there at 10 degrees. Your rapid, there's two types. That's rescue. I think that's a rescue chain actually. So the rapid duro runs 20 degrees, and the rapid duro 3 runs 30 degrees. Little bit difference there. So, and then you've got your milling chains, and they run milling chain 10 degrees on that, and it's still 40 degrees on the top plate cutting angle coming in. So the only ones that really change from the 40 degrees is your rapid duros and your rescue chain and the rapid hexa. They're the only ones. All your semi-chisels, skip tooth, they all run this 40 degree angle, which is a 50 degree on an Oregon. Oregon runs 60 degrees. What's the difference between 50 and 60? 50 degrees is more aggressive, simple as that. So you can run 50 degrees, the choice is yours. But I generally go with the recommendation of the manufacturer. So that is the recommendation, 40 degrees on here for your RS and RM chains. Now, the other thing is, your RS chain is your full chisel chain, and the top plate on that is 25 degrees. So that's your top plate angle here, 25 degrees. So that's what you set it at, full chisel. 25 degrees will keep it a bit sharper, won't go as blunt as quick as 30 degrees. A lot of chains on full chisel run at 30 degrees. 25 degrees is a good compromise. On your semi-chisel, the top plate runs 30 degrees. So because it's got this nice rounded corner at the front, the working corner, it tends not to go as blunt. It's a little bit more durable, lasts a bit longer. So the maintenance on the full chisel are a little bit more frequent sharpening, less sharpening on the semi-chisel. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I don't want to go into milling chains. You know, they're about 10 degrees, but even nonetheless, most of the chains that are out there are still using this 40 degree top plate cutting angle. So yeah, that's what they use, and it's a little bit more aggressive and it works well. So if you do buy a Stihl USG grinder, you can get on their website and do a search, and you can actually download this in PDF format. I actually got this from the Stihl dealer. I wished I would have got the actual file on USB stick, but he printed it out for me. So can't get it in colour off the website. I tried. It's only in black and white, but nonetheless, that's just an identical copy of the original A3 that it comes with it. So that's pretty much it. I don't think there's much else I could sort of talk about, because I've gone over the different chains, and as I mentioned, some of the new ones that have come out a little bit different. They're all using Alphabet, and I can't remember every chain by alphabet, because they're all using RMX or RCX, RMH or PD this and RH that, and RM this, full chisel, semi-chisel, rip-in chain. If they just had, if the alphabet said F for full chisel, like if it said FC full chisel and semi-chisel was SC, that's pretty straightforward. And if they had ML for milling and SK for skip, that would be pretty easy to understand. But for the life of me, I can't remember all of those. RMX, RCX, RMX, RMH, RMHS, PD3, RD3, RD, RDR. How the hell am I going to know those? Because one of the demolition chains is diamond. So they could put DIA for diamond, Anyway, is what it is. I've been buying Stihl chain for about 20 years, and I only ever use full chisel, semi-chisel, and skip chain in full chisel. And the only other chain that I use is tungsten carbide. So I do remember the four: RH for rapid hexa, RD for rapid duro, RM for rapid micro, and RS for rapid super. They're the only fours that I remember. If I worked in a shop and I'm selling them day in, day out, I'd probably remember the whole bloody lot of them. But yeah. So I hope that addresses some of the angles of the Stihl USG grinder. You can run those same angles on your Oregon. Just remember that 40 degrees on a Stihl USG grinder is 50 on an Oregon. The rest is exactly the same. The only difference on the Stihl is that you tilt it to the left, and on the Oregon it tilts to the right. Exactly the same process, and it's the same thing. On the Stihl USG, you feed the chain in that way. So the front of the chain faces, this is the front here, this is the back. On an Oregon style, it's the other way. The chain comes in this way. It's just a little bit different. Once you've got both grinders and you've had them for quite a while, it's a bit like speaking a different language. It just automatically changes in your head. Like 90 degrees for an Oregon is 0 degrees on a Stihl. So it becomes second nature. It really does become easy. But I remember when I first got into chainsaws and I first heard about these grinders, how wonderful and fantastic they are, and I have to agree with that. And I couldn't figure out when they were talking about the 30-degree angles, and I have to look back and laugh, because there was one guy that said, I'm thinking of getting a USG grinder, but it says 30 degrees. That's and on an Oregon it says 60. That's 30 degrees different. That sounds a bit odd to me. And I just laughed, because I thought, yeah, look, I can understand where you're coming from, mate, because I've been there, done that. I know exactly what you're talking about. So it's just geometry. You just got to understand it's different reference point, same angle. Anyway, thanks for the questions, and any comments again are welcome, and give us a thumbs up, and please subscribe. Bye for now.